Morning, Redeemer. I wanted to say that in this season of doom and gloom and fear and anxiety for many and great upheaval, it is so important that we orientate ourselves correctly, that we take time and trouble to do that. In other words, that we orientate ourselves biblically, because in this season of massive trouble, we have something unbelievably precious that the rest of the world does not have. We have Romans 8:28. And Romans 8:28 says that for those who love God, all things work together for good, and all things has to include the coronavirus. And no one is going to say that the coronavirus is good, and no one should. It is evil and tragic, and yet Romans 8:28. And so here are 10 ways in which I'm super excited about God fulfilling Romans 8:28 in the coronavirus. 10 things to be positive about in this season. 1. More and more people might have their worlds rocked by this and be humbled and cry out to God in desperation, and so find Him and get saved for eternity. 2. We Christians might become more humbled by this. If there was ever any arrogance or pride or complacency, God may use this to refine us and grow us to be more dependent on Him. 3. We may experience a major spiritual growth spurt through this, more than we've ever had in our lives before. This could be the Father pruning us. And pruning is painful, but the reason He does it is because He loves us, and it results in more fruit. In other words, more joy for us, more intimacy with Him, more spiritual maturity, more wisdom, more hope, more assurance of our salvation. And it's well attested in Scripture and in church history. In the good times, when everything's going fine, spiritual growth is slow and hard, if it exists at all. But it's in the tough times, when people are hurting, when the carpet is ripped from under us, that we cry out to God and suddenly start to enter whole new levels of intimacy with Him and deep-seated, long-term, circumstance-proof joy and hope and fulfillment and general spiritual maturity. 4. Some of us are going to get to be promoted to glory, to be with Jesus, which is far better than life in this world. 5. For our faith upon which our eternity hangs to be proved as genuine and real and effective. For those of us left behind, yes, of course, there is going to be massive grief, but God often uses that grief to refine His people. And what a wonderful opportunity for us to discover in our grief that yes, our faith is holding strong, that it's genuine, that our hope is real. 6. For this situation to produce and provoke in us more love for the lost, more compassion, more urgency in evangelism. 7. In the economic hardship that is starting to hit and will be getting a lot worse for many of us, for us, where necessary, to be weaned off the idolatrous addiction we may have to this world and to be going instead to God for our hope and our joy and our security. In other words, for us to learn the secret of contentment, which isn't money or things, but which is Jesus. 8. Jesus coming back. Not meaning to be controversial, but could it be possibly that this massive global upheaval might be just a hint of a little more hastening of the Lord's return? And that is something that all of us should be desperate for, should be longing for. 9. Us believers valuing fellowship all the more, like we should have been all along before it was stripped away from us physically. Us valuing it now and embracing it and enjoying it, going to great lengths to experience it through technology. And 10. More time for many of us. This is an amazing opportunity, a fantastic gift God is giving many of us in the midst of this awfulness. Let's not throw it away, let's not waste it, but use much more time now available for God and for His Word and for prayer and for investing in each other through technology and through improving ourselves, maybe mentally, maybe physically, for doing all sorts of things that are important but which got squeezed out by the urgent in our lives before this season, when we maybe filled them up with priorities that weren't biblical and so became incredibly time poor. Many of us will now be time rich. Let's make the very most of that. And so there are just 10 ways in which God can fulfill Romans 8:28 through this coronavirus. So let's stay oriented, let's stay positive, let's stay trusting Him and let's look expectantly for some of the powerful, beautiful ways in which God will do what God does and bring amazing good out of any evil.